in Team A is going to say their piece for how long? 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to set the timer, and when the timer goes off, that means your time is up. When that time is up, I'm going to say, okay, the next partner in Team A is going to go. They're going to speak. They're going to say their piece for 1 minute, okay? And then the timer's going to go off, and their time is going to be up. Team B, you're listening. You are not affirming anything that they're saying or negating anything that they're saying. In other words, you don't want to nod your head and make them think that something that they're saying is good, or shake their head and make them think something they're saying is wrong. You're not really, no, you're not reacting at all, okay? All you're doing is taking notes, because you may want to jot down some things that you're saying in case you want to refute it or rebut it, or you think like that's not true, okay? I'm not collecting those notes are just for you. But you do need to take notes, because when they're done, you are going to have to restate what they said so that you can make sure you heard them correctly, and they can make sure you were listening to them correctly, okay? And then after you do that whole process, you're going to switch roles. Does everybody understand? Okay? So I'm going to give you about 20 seconds with your partner, if you're in Team A, to decide who's going to speak first. Okay, so decide who's going to speak first. Is it going to be you? Is it going to be your partner? When you have decided that and you're in Team A, raise your hand so I know you're ready. Who's going to start first in Team A? Okay, so I'm going to set the timer. When I say start, you're going to start talking because you have the 1 minute. Are we good? Don't start yet. Hold on.
Additionally, when the families hiding in the secret annex were caught, separated, and taken to concentration camps, by working behind the scenes, hiding used targets and continued to gain hope in the future. Saving those was helpful to educate us about it in the future, but it didn't really help stop the Holocaust from happening.
So you are voting for the geese, okay?
No.
I mean, for the shoals. Sorry. Let's wait, because we need you guys to all take a deep breath over there and Who did you guys pick and why?
I chose Han and Sophie just because, not because it's just like, it was a lot more bigger, but it's just like the way they handled it. It's not because it was cool and action-packed, clean and everything. I just think that they went the next level. Like me and Jankees for like shelters most of the time, and Hans and Sophie was just like, let's just be out there. Let's just like try our best, and they like graffiti walls, and I just feel like they just went the next level. It just was a lot more social.
Good. Okay. Aureliano, not him. Let me get my sentence out. Who did you guys now, in case you guys didn't realize, this was not a peaceful consensus. We had to rely on the calm nature of just to kind of get us there, because it got tense. What did you guys come to a consensus on, and why?
The majority of us agreed that it was Hans and Sophie, because they did more things that they could have like died for, and they put their life on the line, like in a bigger way that they could have been caught easier for, and they did it with more things and didn't like rat out the people when they were caught.
John is in disagreement. He dissents. He would be the Ruth Bader Ginsburg of this moment. If it makes you feel any better, now when one class asked me who did I pick, and I said, I feel like my gut instinct and everyone's gut instinct is going to be Hans and Sophie. And so when I was putting this lesson together, I almost didn't do it, because I'm like, it's going to be hard to debate, because the majority of people are going to pick those two, because it is so prominent. Like, they're out there, there's leaflets, they're doing it so publicly. And so honestly, my assumption was that every single group was going to come to that consensus, but there have been at least 2 groups that didn't, and the point that they made was valid. So their point is, the groups that picked the geese, one group said, well, we picked them because we know for sure a precise number of people that were saved. Like, we know for sure what they did saved lives, and we know that for a fact. Whereas with the shoals, obviously, theoretically and logically, the assumption is lives were saved because people are being informed. However, people were informed and it was still happening. So just because you know something is going on doesn't mean it's stopping. So I said, for example, I know for a fact there are atrocities happening in different parts of the world, and I'm doing nothing to stop it. I'm informed, I know, but I'm not stopping it, so it's not really necessarily affecting it for me to be aware of it. And then another group said that although what Hans and Sophie were doing was admirable, it could have created more chaotic situations and put more people in danger. So they're out, they're flying leaflets everywhere, there's pamphlets, there's graffiti. That's going to attract the attention of SS, and now you may have these chaotic situations where now people are in danger. And we've seen that in modern times. Protests can become very violent. Innocent people could die. Like, the thing that you're fighting for may not even be the thing that you get out of it. So that is there anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, what you said about making it more dangerous, it could have targeted more people and put them more.
Happy Friday. It is 3:21. School is over. They were dismissed about 20 minutes ago. I intended on talking to you guys this morning on my way to get my Starbucks, but the iPad ran out of storage, so I couldn't do that. But today, in all classes, we finished up the debate that we started last week. It was a structured academic debate, and students were assigned to think about how Jan and Miep Gies and Sophie and Hans Scholl handled conflict, the conflict being the Holocaust, and they were assigned to debate which pair of people handled it best. So they were either told you're debating in support of Jan and Miep Gies, or you're debating in support of Hans and Sophie Scholl. So they were assigned what side to take, and then we had their debates. So we've been doing that in all of my classes for the past couple of days, and today was the day that we got through and finished with each class. And the nice part about the assignment is this is something new. I have never done this before because we never got to this point in the school year last year, and it was just an idea that I came up with and didn't really know if it would work because I wasn't sure if the comparison between the two sets of people was fair, and I'm still not sure if the comparison between the two sets of people is fair because you're not really comparing apples to apples. In this situation, if you're familiar with Jan and Miep Gies, they hid a small number of people, and Hans and Sophie Scholl did things on a much more grand and mass scale and ended up dying because of it. But what was nice is that it worked really well, and it was actually surprising. Like, I thought that I knew how it was going to end in terms of what the kids thought, but I was wrong. So that's one, and I'll get to into that a little bit more in a second. But secondly, on a couple of occasions, as we were coming back inside to the classroom to talk about it as a whole group, because we did the debate portion outside just for COVID reasons, I overheard students saying to each other, like, oh, that was fun, I really enjoyed that. So that always makes you feel good, like you've done something right. But what I assumed would happen is after we went through the debate and after they came to a consensus in their group, I assumed that each group would come to the consensus or to the agreement that Hans and Sophie Scholl handled conflict better because what they did was so much more grand in scale. And most groups did come to that conclusion, but a few didn't, and they had valid points that I hadn't even thought of as they said or explain why they felt like Jan and Miep Gies handled it better. So I got a little bit of footage of the debate part of the day with one class. I don't know exactly, you know, the quality of it because we're outside. I don't know how well you'll be able to hear me. But if it's good, I'll include it in the blog. And along those lines, like, it's hard to capture them participating in these things in class because the audio quality is not great, because it's hard to hear and understand what students are saying because of the mask. Like, I can barely understand them sometimes, and I'm in the classroom with them, and so when I record it and listen back, you can't understand what they're saying. But the debates, excuse me, were a success. I'm happy with them. The ultimate goal of what I wanted them to do was accomplished. They had to make a claim, support it, and really kind of think critically about the two scenarios that they were wading through. So that was great. And then we moved on to history. And so I warned the kids, like, what we're gonna do today doesn't necessarily feel like history, but it's what we're doing to prepare ourselves for the next step in looking at the Civil War. So I decided the next step that I wanted to take as we progress through these lessons is I wanted to make sure kids understood the concept of compromise and what compromise is and what is involved when people or groups are compromising. So I was looking for video clips or media or something to kind of just get that out there and introduced, and there's not much that you could really use in an academic setting. Like a lot of what I was finding was like compromising in relationships and stuff like that. But I found one video that got the job done, but the only problem was the video is kind of just like, I told the kids, it's pretty like cringeworthy. Like to watch, because it's like not the best acting, and there's like these awkward silences in the video that should have been edited out, but they weren't. And so I said, I promise you, I tried really hard to find an alternative to this video and I just couldn't. So I like warned them and said, I'm just letting you know it is going to be a little like cringeworthy, because I cringe watching it, but I want you to focus on like the content of what is being said and less on the cringe factor. So we watched in every class, and every class did chuckle because there are just those awkward moments. But we watched it. It's about 3 minutes long, and I'll show you a clip so that you can see like why it was so awkward. Let me see. I can't play the audio because it's not synced up with my interactive display in a second, but it's basically the video. The purpose of the video is it's a social skills video, and it's two teenagers like acting through this scenario where they have to compromise, and there's just these awkward silences. So we watched the video, and then after that we used a Jamboard because I wanted to kind of get my feet wet with having the kids use the interactive display. So on the Jamboard there are 3 slides, and so on the first slide, after we watched the video, I wrote the word compromise in the middle and just had volunteers kind of tell me what is compromise. Like, compromise is blank. And so they came up with either their own writing utensil, or I let them use my stylus, but I like wrapped it in paper towel for like COVID reasons, and they came up and wrote, you know, what they thought compromise was. The interactive display was definitely engaging. There were definitely more kids with their hands raised to volunteer and answer, because they knew if they volunteered they would be able to come up and use the display. So that was nice. So we went through that, and then I said, okay, now we're gonna go through some like just scenarios that have been made up where you're gonna have to come up with the compromise. We're gonna do one together, and then I'm going to assign you a scenario, and you're gonna work with your partner, the same partner that you had during the debate, and you're gonna come up with the compromise. And I said, you need to make sure that on this slide, because it's a TPT product that I bought, and I'll show it to you, that you summarize what your compromise is, and that you're able to identify what you're getting in the situation and what the other side is getting. Because when I did this with my homeroom class a couple days ago, they're the class that's a little bit ahead, they came up with compromises, but the opposing side wasn't getting anything from it. So I realized that we had to get that fixed. Hold on one second, I got a message. So once we established that, then I assigned them their scenario. So this was a TPT product that I found. And again, this is actually meant for social emotional learning. But I used it for this because I wanted to like talk about compromise, and told them that we're going to use what we learned through here in this practice to then look at some of the compromises that were attempted as the country tried to prevent itself from going to war with itself. So the scenario that we did together says this: your teacher has spoken to you many times about your lack of progress and poor grades. She even gave you multiple opportunities to improve, and you didn't. She tells you that she is going to call your parents to schedule an in-person meeting to discuss her concerns over your lack of progress. If your parents find out that you've been slacking, you'll face some serious consequences. You don't want your teacher to call your parents. How would you negotiate a compromise in this situation? So we did that one together, and then we talked through it. And it's funny because in each class, like a student invariably said like, ooh, that sounds like that sounds like me. And when we were in a virtual setting, so we talked through that one, and then they got one, and then some classes, not all, shared out like their compromise. And as a class, we discussed, is that a fair compromise? If so, what are they getting? And then what is the opposing side getting? And so it's been fun to kind of hear like the kids' thought process and hear what they think is a compromise, where I have to pop in, or the other teacher that's in class says, that's actually not like a compromise at all. Like that person's not getting anything. So that's what I've been doing the past couple of days. All of the classes are in slightly different places, so it's taken a while. So I feel satisfied. Like I feel good about what we've gotten done so far. I'm happy that the kids seem to enjoy, to some extent, the debate. And that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go home soon because it's Friday. I need to finalize, grade cutoff is today, and my grades are going to be finalized on Tuesday. And then after that, like whatever I give them, it's not even going into a grade book, and they know that, which is kind of like dangerous for 8th graders with 2 weeks left of school, but it is what it is. So that's pretty much it. I don't know that there's anything else that I think I want to share when I get home, and it's Friday and I'm tired, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out the vlog here. The only thing you're gonna miss is me go home, wash and twist up my hair, and probably eat a cheeseburger for dinner because I feel like it's Friday and junk food is in order. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out the vlog here. If you enjoyed today's vlog, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. If you're not following me on Instagram, head over there and follow me as well. And I forgot to mention that today is Pixar Day at my school, so I'm wearing a shirt that is made to look like Jessie, and it even says Jessie on the back, so that was fun. But anyway, I hope that you guys had a great day, whatever day it is that you are watching this. I hope that you are well, and if you're not well, please be well, and I will see you tomorrow.